It's like Seth Curry here. You're listening to Voltz Supreme's Synth Dream Machine, bro. Alright, sweet.
Ladies and gentlemen, fellas and Sheilas, welcome back to another thrilling episode of Voltz Supreme's Synth VGM Dream Stream Machine podcast. The podcast that plays the synthiest synth video game music in all the whole wide universe. Folks, we are back in record-breaking time. Only a week or so since the last episode. We have not seen this kind of action from the podcast since season 1. But I'm back, and I'm excited to be here in your lovely ear holes. Well, before we get started, let's get our prestigious guest on the line. I was going to get Donnie, but there's some difficulties surrounding him at the moment. Something to do with how we ended the last episode. So, look, I decided for the next best thing. A man who is a huge fan of Donnie Smalls and will never be able to fill his shoes, but a man with some very unique shoes of his own. He's been on the show a number of times now. It's Californian big wave surfer and all-round thrill junkie. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Seth Curry to the show.
All right, cool.
Seth, oh man, it has been a long time. How have you been since our last episode we did maybe like 2 years ago now?
Bro, 2 years? I should probably remember that. Bro, what did you say your name was again?
Voltz Supreme.
Right. That's an awesome name, my little hombre. You're totally jiving the Mad Pizza vibes.
Seth, what do you mean? You've been on the show twice already.
I mean, bro, your name sounds like some kind of German pizza. I'm digging it, bro. You're totally not afraid about people's opinions and stuff, and I totally respect that kind of spirit. Bro.
Okay, well, Seth, maybe we can do a little memory jogging after we get going. Let me tell you and our listeners about this episode.
Bro, I love episodes. You're like TV, bro. You're like a TV.
Well, folks, let me give you a little bit of a backstory. Look, any of you who are a part of my Discord channel know that it has been a bit of a lifeless corpse lately. So I decided to just ask a simple question just to kind of bring a little bit of life back. And to be honest, there's quite a few people on there that I have hardly spoken to and I don't really know anything about. So, just a simple question, bring things back to life a little bit. A simple question, but not an easy question to answer. I asked the Discord members, what was their all-time favorite video game soundtrack? And I made it clear they didn't need to think it was the best soundtrack, but just a personal favorite. And I got a good handful of answers, which was really nice. And look, I know it was a hard question. I don't even know if I could answer it myself. One of the Discord members, who's also a host of a number of podcasts, Bedroth, he commented that I was a sadistic individual for asking this question. But anyway, I had no intentions of turning the answers into a podcast, but after seeing the response on Discord, that's what I'm going to do, a podcast episode, I mean. Now, the interesting thing about all these soundtracks is that although I'm kind of familiar with them all, I don't really know any of them well. I might recognize some tracks while listening, but overall, these are not soundtracks that I know very well at all. So I thought it'd be fun to just go through all the answers from Discord, and without giving any of them a good listen beforehand, I would just very quickly skim through the tracks, just a couple of seconds here and there, trying to find something that grabs my attention. I'll do that right now as we're doing this podcast. One soundtrack at a time, pick out maybe 2 tracks that catch my attention, and then give them a proper listen on the podcast, give a couple of thoughts, and I don't know. I think it's going to be a unique episode. Usually I put a lot of thought into my song choices, and I know the songs very well before I pick them. But, going into this episode completely blind.
Bro, that is so humble. Most people I know who make podcasts totally know what they're doing, but, bro, what you're doing, just not even having an idea is, totally vulnerable, dude. It's just like you're opening up your body and showing everyone all the mistakes inside your organs. I'm really starting to dig your philosophy, Supreme, bro. You're sweet, man. You're sweet. I like it. Oh, dude.
Thanks, Seth.
Right.
Yeah, well, let's get to our first pick. I will also mention that I might try and lean towards the Cynthia tracks, as I've kind of been rejecting that element of the podcast a fair bit lately. As far as I know, no one listens to this podcast for the synth anyway, so okay. First pick comes from Discord user Modico. This person was torn between two favorite soundtracks, so let's do one now and we'll come back to the other one later on. They also mentioned a favorite track from each one, so that makes it a little easier for me. Let's get to the first pick, and this is probably the soundtrack I know least about. It's Near Gestalt. I know many people absolutely love these soundtracks from this series. I know I've looked into at least one or two, and it was really good. With the whole invented language thing, very clever, great music. But I don't think it was this soundtrack. And look, as I'm getting this soundtrack on my computer now, it looks like Gestalt and Replicant have been kind of combined into one soundtrack. So I don't know, maybe they're connected games or something. I'll just choose mine from that soundtrack. I don't really know which comes from which, but the composers are Kiichi Akabe, Kakeru Ishihama, Kigo Hoashi, Takafumi Nishimura. So let's get to one of Modico's favorite tracks of all time. I have not heard this. It's Cold Steel Coffin. Let's go. man, that packs an emotional punch. It's just intense all the way through. And to me, that sounds like that whole made-up language they use in the other games. I see no reason why they wouldn't keep that going. What a great track. Really powerful vocals, both the melody and that choir that kind of makes up a lot of the background, along with the really fast percussion, pianos moving around, and orchestra parts. But those lead vocals, it sounds like quite a few layers and harmonies, but just really strong, especially when it hits those high notes. My favorite part is when it kind of moves away from that main melody and does this very chromatic rising thing. Really reminds me of the Godfather theme. Chills. Amazing song. Thank you. What a go.
Dude, someone who knows videos and stuff should totally put this video to a slow-mo video of me, like, tearing up Monster Wave at Nazarene. That's like Army of Angels type singing stuff, bro. That is gnarly. All right. I like this podcast, dude.
Good. All right, well, Seth, you and me are going to put the podcast on pause for just a quick moment and going to have a quick skim through this whole soundtrack and try and find the next song to play. So, folks, we'll be right back. You won't even know we're gone. See you soon. Oh my goodness, what have I done? Skimming through that, look, I probably only spent 2 or 3 minutes just skimming through that whole soundtrack. I thought, I would listen to a song and I would delete it from the playlist and kind of go back through again. I didn't delete anything. They were just one good song after another. Really interested to go back and listen to this whole thing properly. I guess one song kind of stood out to me. It was a bit kind of wild. It's called Bluebird. It sounded like some really cool, repeating kind of ostinato tune percussion things and some really wild vocals in there and some synths. So let's go with that. Again, I've only listened to a few seconds of this song. Sounds like an amazing soundtrack. Definitely going to have to come back to this. But here we go. This is Bluebird. Oh man, I was not expecting those vocals to just melt into oblivion at the start. That was super cool. Love those kind of nasally, traditional sounding female Japanese vocals, and then you got those really masculine war cry kind of vocals as well. Definitely sounds like one of the weirder songs of the soundtrack based on the little that I heard while skimming through. I don't know if I could keep listening to that on repeat. It has a really kind of unresolved sound the whole way through. But used wisely in the game, that could have a very strong impact. Yeah, that was great. I am ready for the next pick.
Bro, just wait up a second, Pizza Bro. That could totally also be like background music for me carving up a mountain of ocean in Nesri, bro. Dude, that was wild. Whoa.
Are you gonna say that for every song we play, Seth?
I don't know, bro. Depends on what you play, I guess. Dude, you shucking me, bro?
Am I what?
Are you shucking me, bro? Like grading my chakra here.
Let's just have some fun, Seth. No hard feelings or vibes or anything like that from me. Let's get to our next soundtrack. All right. Well, our next pick comes from Mihon Edge, who is a game developer in our Discord. And he has brought to us the soundtrack of Never Winter Nights by the infamous Jeremy Soule. So I assume his favorite track is the main theme, which is posted on the Discord. So we'll play that and then I'll do a quick skim through and see what I can find. Here we go. This is the main theme from Never Winter Nights. Well, there you go. Really interesting vibes there. The rhythm has a very strong kind of galloping swing to it. Not bad, not bad. I wasn't really anticipating this rhythm, so I might have to go back and listen to it again to really get a good kind of understanding of it. But yeah, good range of emotions. There's got pretty fantasy epic in the middle, and the start and the end were a bit more moody and atmospheric. Cool track, cool track. Earlier this year, I was actually working with Mihon Edge. I don't even know how you pronounce that username, but we were working together on a video game he was developing, and he definitely sent me a few Neverwinter Nights reference tracks to listen to. But apart from that, that's kind of all I've really heard from this soundtrack. And unfortunately, having team members from both Russia and Ukraine, understandably, that project we were working on was put on hold for the foreseeable future. But as far as I know, they're all good and well, and they've actually joined a different company and working on a new project, which is good news. But anyway, I'm going to pause the podcast and see what I can find in Neverwinter Nights. Okay, I am back. That only took me less than a minute, I reckon. And I probably listened to less than 3 or 4 seconds of each song. The song that stood out to me the most, I think, City Night Theme. It seemed to be quite a nice atmospheric song with a few kind of heart-tugging, emotional kind of chords in the middle. I have no idea. I've never listened to it other than a couple of seconds just then. So let's give it a go. This is City Night Theme, again from Neverwinter Nights by Jeremy Soule. All right. Yeah, that was pretty nice. Actually, not what I was expecting based on the little micro samples I listened to. Some really beautiful parts in there, especially when that piano comes in. I could definitely listen to that on repeat. Really short, but a lot of music packed in there. And you could definitely absorb that over many listens. Really nicely written, really beautiful parts, a little bit of playfulness, a little bit of creepiness kind of thrown in at the end. But overall, yeah, just really nice, really pleasant to listen to. Great stuff. But let's keep going because we've got a lot to get through. Up next, we have a pick from our good friend and contributor to the podcast, Utopian Nemo. And his comment was this: "There's no way to answer a question like that. Smiley sweat face." He says, in all seriousness, I have to say Super Castlevania 4. Pound for pound, it has more tracks that affect me strongly and hold more nostalgia and history than any other soundtrack. When it came out, there just wasn't anything like it. All right. Yeah, look, I'm really glad that he was able to choose something. This is a man who, during the Masters of VGM conversation, said something like his list of 4 favorite composers would consist of at least 10 composers. But I'm looking forward to checking this one out. I know the Castlevania soundtracks and the games are very commonly people's all-time favorites, and that's the game and the soundtrack. And I think the fact that both the game and the soundtrack are so good no doubt contributes to that. But honestly, I've never really been able to get into the games or the soundtracks. But let's dive in. We don't have any favorite songs, so I'm just going to, again, skim through super fast and try and find my two most,
Hello?
yeah, ear-catching songs.
Bro, what happened then?
Just trying to figure out what to say, Seth.
Right, you got no idea what you're doing, of course.
Folks, never listened to this soundtrack at all. Have maybe heard a song or two on other VGM podcasts. But yeah, we'll be right back.
Hey, bro, do I get to help pick any of these tubers, or am I just going to sit here while you talk and listen to your music?
Yeah, sorry, Seth. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the songs that I pick. See if you can come up with something to say.
Okay.
All right, we'll be back soon, folks.
All right.
All right, I'm back with two songs. I skimmed through that really fast. I reckon maybe 3-4 seconds most of each track, just kind of skipping the start, going to the middle, and seeing what there is.
Dude, do you know how annoying you are? Like, seriously, you were just like skipping through that like some stupid person on TV just pressing the next channel all the time and just can't make up their mind. This is stupid, bro. Do I seriously have to sit here and listen to this?
Look, Seth.
Yeah.
Seth, you know, don't you understand what the point of this episode is? The whole point is that I skip through all the tracks and just listen for something that kind of catches my attention, then we listen to it properly. That's the whole point of doing this. I'm sorry if you have to listen to me skip through 30 tracks in 2 minutes. I can understand that would be annoying. But kind of get a hold of the concept of this episode, please, and let's try to make this work, all right?
Dude, your concept is so not Roto. This is uncool, dude. I do not like sitting here listening to this. I don't know, man. Maybe this is not gonna work.
Look, come on, Seth. Everyone loves you who listens to this podcast.
Right. Okay. Right.
You know, Donnie Smalls said that he really wanted to hear you on another episode again.
Oh, Big Donnie Smalls?
Yeah.
Are you Roto right now, bro?
Yes.
Big Donnie Smalls said that about me?
Sure did.
Dude,
Yeah.
I actually was on a podcast with Big Donnie Smalls. That was Roto, bro. If we could do that again, that'd be cool, but, you know.
Yeah. Seth, don't you remember, this is the podcast you were on when you, myself, and Donnie Smalls did an episode together.
Dude, you're doing my head in. Are you serious?
Yes.
This was the podcast?
Yes, it
All
was.
right, man. Cool. Cool. Let's do it. All right. Maybe you can hook me up with Donnie Smalls again.
For sure, if we can
You
finish
reckon
the
you can
episode.
do that, bro?
Yeah,
Piece
yeah.
of bro?
What?
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I'm cool, dude. I'm Roto. Let's do this. Let's listen to your billion tracks in 10 seconds. Whatever, bro. I can make it happen. Whatever. If you get me another chance with Donnie Smalls. Dude.
Yeah, I'm sure Donnie would love to be on another episode with you, Seth. But let's get to our first selection that I've chosen from this soundtrack, Super Castlevania 4. And going through, when I hit Dracula's theme, that had, for a Super Nintendo, that had some really intense synth film vibes to it. I don't know. I've forgotten what it sounded like already. Let's go back and check it out. This is composed by Masanori Adachi and Taro Kudo. All right. that intro, those sounds are just huge. The delay, the stereo panning, it just really makes it sound very cinematic, and later on some really cool kind of 70s, 80s sounding synths in there, which really works well on this podcast. I can totally see how hearing this would just grab your attention, back in the Super Nintendo days. Really powerful sounds, very atmospheric, and yeah, like I said, I think it's quite cinematic, which is always a very special thing to achieve on an old console with limitations like a Super Nintendo.
I know.
Any thoughts, Seth?
Dude, I could totally see some, video dude putting that music to me while carving an early wave at nursery.
Oh, you gotta be kidding.
Bro, I'm messing with you, dude. I'm messing with you. No, I totally get some dark, evil vibes from that, bro. Lots of, purple clouds and spooky castle-type vibes. I would not listen to that while doing free yoga, bro. Might open up some kind of third dimension to the unknown void or something.
Free yoga.
Bro, you don't free yoga? Dude, you're totally not getting the spirit messages in the wind. It's like this cool new thing, bro. It's like meditative yoga mixed with parkour. It really frees a spirit from all those polyunsaturated fats and processed meats. It's like a real spirit health kick, dude. Ugh, yeah, I feel like doing it now.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, okay, so yoga and parkour, it sounds cool. My next track was something I thought might be more on the other side of the spectrum for this soundtrack. Sounded like it had some interesting rhythms, a little bit more upbeat. It's the spinning tower, again from Super Castlevania 4. Let's dive in. Okay, well, not really what I was expecting based on the little snippets I heard. Definitely very interesting rhythms. The whole track is very, very rhythm focused, with a lot of the parts pretty much tightly locked together, just following this one rhythm. I was expecting something a little more upbeat, but it was still pretty sinister. What I did notice was the bass, the program bass, but it sounded like a part that was written for a real bass by someone who knows bass very well. In some ways, I think the bass is almost the lead instrument in this track. Very experimental track. I love how so many of these old classic games have such experimental soundtracks. Another thing I noticed, although this song is a bit jarring, it's not super pleasant to listen to. It's doing what it needs to do, but it's not a pleasant track. What these professional VGM composers really understood was how to make a looping track, and I really think that one little organ bit that only goes for a few seconds is exactly what this song needs. It's just this little snippet of music. After all that tension, it gives you something solid, and that bit, it's something really easy to take in before bang, back into the tension. So yeah, really good composing. It's a song I'm assuming in the game the tension is required, but the composers know that the listeners or the people playing the game need that little bit of musical relief, and that little just couple of seconds does the job. Seth, you got any thoughts about this?
Dude, I think I need a bit more than a couple of seconds, right? I'm trying to find the beat, and my foot is getting spasms. Let's just get to the next song, please. Right.
All right, let's move on. Thank you, Utopia Nemo. That was great. Up next, we have some selections from Bedroth. So, Bedroth has 2 answers, basically. One for himself and one for his VGM podcast co-host, Shoot Kapow. So, let's start with Bedroth's. And, yeah, like I said, he said I was a very sadistic individual for asking this question. And I couldn't agree with him more. It was a horribly evil question to ask of anyone who appreciates VGM. But, alright, he has chosen Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars. And, again, 3 big-time composers on this. Yoko Shimomura, Koji Kondo, and Nobuo Uematsu. My goodness, that's a bit of a super soundtrack, I think. But I know I've skimmed through this before, looking for maybe something to remix. I can't remember. I've skimmed through it, but I've never really soaked this soundtrack up. So let's get to it. Again, we've got no suggestions for songs. I didn't ask for song suggestions, so, that makes sense. We've just got a soundtrack. So I am going to... Sorry, Seth. You're going to have to bear with me again. I'm going to tune out for a couple of minutes, skim through the soundtrack, and find 2 songs for us to listen to. All right, be back soon. Alright, I'm back. Skimming through about 60 songs then. Sounds like a very strong soundtrack as expected. It looks like, most of the work's done by Yoko Shimomura, with some reused Final Fantasy tracks from Uematsu and some reused Mario stuff. Maybe some new music from Koji Kondo. I'm not sure, but yeah, clearly it's a Yoko Shimomura soundtrack. So I'm going to go with 3 songs because these are all really short. I think I've gone for 3 quite different tracks, but we'll find out when we give them a proper listen. So let's start with Fight Against Cooper. All right. There you go. That was, really nice. Very short. I think we went through about 3 loops in just 1 minute. I think, from hearing what I've heard so far, I think one of the interesting things about this soundtrack is that it appears that Yoko Shimomura has not attempted to try and sound like a previous Mario game or anything like that. She's completely gone with the way either, she thought it needed to go or the directors of the game. But there is that Mario flavor that's been put through this whole thing. So whether it's just using certain sounds that are familiar to the Mario series, or obviously bringing in melodies and stuff like that. This next track I've chosen, this sounded very, very much like a classic Mario tune, and I'm pretty sure it's a Yoko Shimomura track. But let's give it a listen. It's Grandpa and the Delightful Tadpoles. Fantastic little track. That is just so joyful, and yet definitely in the vein of Koji Kondo's previous Super Mario music that he's done. Really good stuff. That's probably, I'm speaking here from someone who doesn't even know the soundtrack, but to me that sounds like one of the more classic Koji Kondo sounding songs. Kind of the opposite of what I was previously mentioning about Yoko Shimomura really kind of doing her own thing with this soundtrack. But I should try to keep my mouth shut rather than talk about things I don't even know. Seth, you've been a bit quiet. How you been finding these songs?
Bro, that last tune was just ultra wick. It was like super tropical, dude.
Yeah, for sure.
I can just imagine myself just sitting there with a pineapple tropicino and just sipping it down, and with the sun kind of going through the palm trees. Dude, I am like ultra tropical vibes right now. I'm gonna go change my shirt.
What?
Alright, I'll be right back.
Sure. Alright, whatever. Okay, so I've got one more track. It's a really, really short, but, well written. So you could loop these for quite a while, and I can't see them getting boring. But this next track, from memory, I think that this is one of the more kind of crazier, weirder ones that I heard while going through. And this is called Fight Against a Somewhat Stronger Monster. Again, Yoko Shimomura. Enjoy. That's really cool. It just goes in so many places musically, and that percussion, the drums is just really cool. It even breaks into this punk beat at one stage. But yeah, lots of really interesting note choices in there. Some bits kind of sound like, oh yeah, really latch onto this melody, and then she'll throw in some really kind of dissonant notes in there just to keep you on your toes. So yep, that sounds like a very, very good soundtrack based on my little sample. There were lots of just hearing a second here and there, these little melody bits that were standing out to me just appeared really strong, and it's a good sign if you can you just hear a snippet of a song and it instantly grabs you. That is, that's some special composing right there. But anyway, I think we should move on to our next selection. Alright, so up next we have a favourite soundtrack from someone else who's contributed a lot to this show and has his own podcast. It's Kung Fu Carlito. And look, no surprise here, he's gone for Street Fighter EX plus Alpha. Now, he did send some Street Fighter EX tunes into this podcast right near the beginning as at least one of his favourite songs that he really liked. And that definitely got me going down the path of checking out Street Fighter EX soundtracks. And man, they are so good. So I think, this one might be fairly familiar to me. Looking at the track list, I think I've definitely listened to this, but it's been a while and still not completely familiar. I'll probably, things will probably come back to me as I skim through. But yes, here we go. I am going to do a quick skim and see what we can find. Street Fighter EX plus Alpha. Be back soon. Alright, well, I was a little bit surprised. Probably not as familiar with that one as I thought I would be. Probably of all the kind of Street Fighter EX soundtracks I've listened to, that one's probably got a lot of tracks that are just not really my style, but they all sounded really, really good. It had a real band kind of vibe to it. Some crazy guitar solos. I heard little snippets here and there. There's two songs that really stood out to me that sounded quite good, that kind of stood out of the whole selection of tracks. I think these are going to be really, really good. I think anything I could have chosen from this would have been very good. But let's go with Sakura Mankai. This is by Shinji Hoso, Ayako Saso, and Takayuki Ahara. All right, Sakura Mankai. Let's go. incredible. Maybe my favorite song so far on this episode. That synth bass line is just so good and so catchy. And the song is just really dense. This full wall of sound. You've got the synth bass, but then you've got that slap bass over the top, and then all these guitars, lots and lots of layers of synth. The drums are just so great, and they sound like really crisp. 97 video game, that is just like top notch. Some fun percussion and sound effects thrown in just for good measure. I was just, really getting into that the whole way through. And the ending was so good. And I love those kind of breaks where it moved away from that main riff, and very cleverly done. It just takes you somewhere else, and then you just can't wait to get back to that main riff. So, very good. It does sound like it's from the 90s, but the production is just so good, and very tasteful choice of sounds and instruments. I can hear why Kung Fu Carlito mentioned that this soundtrack never gets old for him. So good. I think that was a really good choice.
Bruh, dude, I just put on my Hawaiian shirt, and now I think I need to go get my kimono. Dude, you're messing with my vibes here. Just keep things steady in Roto, dude. Seriously, doing my head in.
Well, I think this is just going to make things worse, because from what I heard, this song, again, is just completely different. I kind of went for it because, being a synth podcast, this sounded like probably the most synth-centered track on the whole thing, and it is sounded very ambient and kind of experimental. So let's give it a listen, and I'll make some comments after I hear it properly. This track is Future Objects. Let's give it a go. another amazing track. Musically, a bit simple, but certainly not in a negative way. Really clever use of synth and production. So much fun stuff going on in that one, from the manipulated synth percussion to that really percussive and, I don't know, unorthodox kind of main melody type thing that is just super groovy and really kind of rhythm focused. It's not really a singable kind of melody, but yeah, very cool. Reminds me of a little bit of mix between kind of experimental YMO and more modern Kraftwerk kind of stuff. But you know, it's definitely got its own sound. It's really clever. And really fun, I think. It definitely takes you into the future, and it's not your typical futuristic music. It's quite unique and cleverly done.
Bruh, Supreme Pizza Dude. I know I was saying I was okay with this podcast, but dude, this is getting a bit much. Can we play some like California games or something? So I need a bit of a palate cleanser. Dude, totally on Roto.
Yeah, I think California Games would be a bit more than a palate cleanser.
Hell yes.
Seth, we've already done that. You don't seem to have a very good memory.
What?
But look, what we're going to do for a palate cleanser is we're just going to move to a different soundtrack. All right, so we're going back to one of Monaco's suggestions or picks. And this is Echo the Dolphin, Defender of the Future. And I have played quite a bit from this soundtrack in the underwater episode, so I'm a bit familiar with this soundtrack, but I haven't listened to it since then. So that's, you know, it's quite a while, and yeah, I haven't listened to it that much. So this should be pretty. This should be pretty good. We've got a favorite song as well, so we'll start off with that one, and it is "Process That Never Ends." Let's give it a whirl. That's really, really good. I'm a huge sucker for those big legato string sounds. It just sounds so amazing. Really kind of sinister and suspenseful, but at the same time, it's kind of exciting. Like, it doesn't freak you out or make you feel like something's wrong. It makes you feel like, yeah, you're going into something and you're about to take something on. Really powerful sound, and it gets quite subtle in some parts. Takes you through a few different kind of emotions to keep the loop really interesting, and I'm assuming this is a loop in the game. And, right at the end, I don't know, probably don't remember now, but there's this really, I don't even know what it was, whether it was synth percussion or just a really heavily modulated, affected percussion noise. I don't know, it just had this really thick atmosphere to it. And you got a lot of atmosphere through this whole song. There's the sounds behind all those strings and stuff that just kind of flow in and out. Really atmospheric, but really great composing as well. Amazing work by Tim Follin for the Dreamcast game Echo the Defender of the Future. Two great songs from Modico. Thank you very much for that, even though no one knew that I was going to make a podcast episode about all this, including myself. But anyway, it's been fun. Not the best audio quality, unfortunately. I'd love to hear this soundtrack in high quality. I don't know. Maybe I should have checked with Ed from VG Embassy. He requested Hanging Waters from this soundtrack for the Underwater episode, and I know he's provided a lot of good quality soundtracks. But yeah, I couldn't find anything better than this. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to have a quick skim, and we'll avoid playing songs I've already played on other episodes. But okay, Seth, let's go for a dive.
Bro, I can't do this again, alright? I'll be back soon, alright? Cool.
Okay, that was, once again, very hard. Quite a few songs that really stood out to me. But I feel like I'm taking a bit of a risk with this one. But I'm going to go with Caverns of Hope, again by Tim Follin. And this sounded a bit kind of strange. Again, probably a bit more of a sinister one. There's some really chilled out tracks in this soundtrack. Some of them are over 10 minutes long, but this one, it's 5 minutes, goes for a while. See how we go. If it gets repetitive, I'll just fade it out. But this is Caverns of Hope. I thought it had a bit of a strange mix of sounds in this one, but we'll give it a go. I'm looking forward to giving this a good listen. Great violins. Definitely adds a lot to this track. Pretty good, pretty good. A little bit of a Middle Eastern vibe to it. I get a few different kind of cultural vibes kind of mixed in with that one. If you played this to me without giving me any info, I would probably tell you it was some sort of desert level music. Again, very atmospheric, which I think is what makes this soundtrack so cool. Whether it's the sinister kind of stuff that gets really dark, or the really chilled out tracks, you can just shut your eyes and it starts painting pictures and really taking you somewhere. Very nice. Look, I'm not sure where Seth is. He just took off after the last time I skimmed through all the tracks, so we'll see if he comes back. But we have one more soundtrack to check out. Last but not least, it's Shoot Kapow's favorite, the official Minecraft soundtrack. Yes, very nice. I'm not sure what the official soundtrack is. I see a lot of different Minecraft soundtracks as I go searching, but I'll go off the one Bedroth posted on the Discord. And Utopia Nemo was also in support of this pick. He mentioned that his family has listened to it on multiple long trips together, and it's one of the only video game soundtracks his wife will tolerate. It sounds vaguely familiar. Okay, no song selection, so I'm going to do a quick skim. I'm a little bit familiar with this soundtrack, with this music, but I don't know it very well. My girls love playing Minecraft, and I very occasionally join them, and the music comes in every now and then, and it's always really, really good. But I've never actually given the soundtrack a good listen, so let's dive in. Be back soon. Alright, that was extremely difficult. Not only was it difficult trying to skim through tracks on a YouTube video, but I ended up just going to C418's Bandcamp and just going through the two Minecraft albums, Volume Alpha and Volume Beta. And they're just, every single song, really, really good, and, super atmospheric, kind of hard to get a grasp of those kind of songs with just a quick couple of seconds. But anyway, I've chosen 3 songs, 2 for us all to listen to together, and then I'll just, there's one long one that I want to play out with. Again, I haven't listened to these properly. I've just a couple of seconds here and there. This first one is a little bit of a long one. It's about 6 minutes, but as I skipped through, every little skip that I did just sounded really different. So I think even though this is a 6-minute song, it's really going to go places. This track is called Haunt Muskie by the artist C418, and from the album Minecraft Volume Beta. Let's give it a listen. Yeah, that's just, that is just really, really nice. Actually making me quite sleepy, and I'm ready to end this episode. But we have one more song. This one stood out as a bit of a more playful song, and it's a short one. The song is called Strad. If you're living in Australia. And again, it's from the artist C418 from Minecraft Volume Beta, dating all the way back to 2013. Enjoy. Yes, that was great. That was really, really good. Man, I love the steel drum, or like the steel pan. Such an amazing instrument. It's a really interesting sound because all the notes are coming from one piece of steel, and each note that resonates has all these harmonics that come with it, that just because the whole pan's kind of resonating. Anyway, that was super cool all the way through. Again, really interesting sounds in there, really beautiful, kind of relaxing music. And no doubt I'm going to add Minecraft soundtracks to my Ultimate Synth VGM Spotify playlist, which now has almost 170 hours of amazing synth VGM. You can find that by searching it up, or go to my Voltz Supreme Spotify artist, and it's one of my playlists I have at the bottom of the page. I'll also, no doubt, be remembering to play that on one of our next long family car trips. I'm definitely with Utopia Nemo. I think that is a really good soundtrack that would please the whole family. But yeah, you wouldn't want it to put you to sleep while you're going for a long drive. Very, very relaxing. Thank you, Sugar Pal. Excellent favorite soundtrack. And thank all of you. Thank you all for posting your answers and giving me some fun material to make an episode out of. I enjoyed that. And looks like Seth is gone. So, gosh, not having much luck with my guests lately. Look, I'm going to close the episode with a good old Remember to Stay Synthetic and also with one last Minecraft track. This track is called, I don't know how to say this, but Drayton. Again from Volume Beta. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you had fun. And remember to stay synthetic.